told you where FCAT is, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about who FCAT is. And for this I had to do some homework, and some of these people you know, and some of these people will be news to you. So who is FCAT? So FCAT is Brian Fisher, a researcher in the School of Interactive Arts and Technology, who develops interactive visual interfaces as a way of exploring large masses of data. Now this has applications in lots of areas, lots of business areas, but it also has applications in lots of community endeavors. When you want to see, perhaps through a geographical display, who's where, who's doing what. So his broad area of visual analytics, which has a lot of promise, is one strong component of FCAT. FCAT is also John Maxwell, a relatively new assistant professor in the Masters in Publishing program here, and he works in new media publishing. And he is particularly interested in developing ways of helping small magazines and small media publishing enterprises to survive using the new technologies. That's his focus of his work. On the art side, FCAT is choreographer Henry Daniel. Many of you have been to his performances, and he's right now collaborating with two other contemporary arts faculty, composer Owen Underhill and lighting designer Barry Hagelin, and they're working on a new work. It's going to have dancers, the large musical ensemble that they're involved in, and telepresence as part of the inaugural program for Woodward's coming up. FCAT is also Maggie Seif El Nasir. She works on, one of the things she works on, she has more than one, but one intriguing one is interactive lighting design for virtual spaces. And this has interesting applications in game design, where instead of having a kind of, if you don't pay attention to light sources and where light is coming from, everything will look flat and not real, of course, and that's not what we're aiming at. So she's, if you can broaden that from 3D game design to all kinds of interactive virtual spaces, virtual performances, all of which have to have some attention to lighting. And it's a very technical thing that she does. She's developed software and processes for handling lighting in those conditions. FCAT is also Ellen Balka, whose work explores the use and impact of electronic record keeping in the healthcare setting. How does it affect, how is it being used with patients? How does it affect caregivers? And is actually a consultant to health organizations who are trying to transform patient records into electronic records. FCAT is Yaozi Zhao, whose work is on, some of you know, is on the relationship between media and democracy, has published a very well-respected book on the situation in China with media and democracy. And of course, China is like one of the premier test cases for all this new social media and new technology and its interaction with democratic processes. And finally, FCAT is Jinmei Hun, who uses video art. She's an artist who uses video art to explore identity in the interrelationships between physical bodies, cities, and the history of culture. So you can see that I've gone from visual analytics to video art, and you can see that there's quite a range there, but they have certain common themes in terms of being involved with new technologies, being involved in the human aspects of technology, the human social uses of technology, and being involved, concerned with the creative processes. I think those three themes run through everything. Now, the traditional model of getting involved, or community-university relationships, has been kind of one-way street. My scholarship has been kind of a study of the university community engagement and the origins of that historically. Historically, when the university system, as we know it, kind of began, it was to give to the community knowledge, right? So it was a very one-way street. I think that record of FCAT, even if it's just come to be, already suggests that we've moved on to a more interactive and collaborative model than that. Nevertheless, I think that we still have lots of opportunity to innovate in terms of how we interact with the community. And so I'm going to take some time in my remarks as I kind of wrap this up to give you some ideas of how you might consider engaging with the new FCAT, so that you can then tell me, well, here's another idea about doing. I suppose, first and foremost, engaging with our students is the heart of what FCAT is. You know, many of you, I'm sure, have already hired students that came out of schools that are in FCAT. Some of you, I think, are actually alums. How many of you have hired or are an alum of you know, you would look at this. Okay. Should have asked that earlier. So, thank you. So, obviously, you know, producing students of the highest caliber through innovative programs is a core commitment for FCAT. And being able to move across those barriers, the disciplines that are often siloed and will not be siloed in FCAT, really gives us an ability to provide an education to students that really will be without peer, I think, in Canada and even in the United States. More short term, you might consider giving a student a co-op or an apprenticeship with your organization. As I looked into, we have a very strong co-op, especially in the School of Communication. And some of the recent co-ops included a wildland fire information officer at the Ministry of Forest and Range, a communications assistant for Vancouver Coastal Health. The education coordinator for the Canadian Olympic Committee was an FCAT student. Anyone in the room have sponsored a co-op? What was your co-op?
It was a communications assistant.
Okay.
See it.
Okay, and what was the position? What did the co-op do?
User interface design.
A user interface design? You were just holding cameras, huh? Anyone else? It's our commitment. We are doing our 3-year plan now, and it's our commitment to double the number of co-ops and to make co-ops a signature aspect of FCAT overall. We're going to take that model that's so strong now in the School of Communication and grow that. So if you have ideas about co-ops, or if you're wondering if a co-op will work for you, talk to me. So sometimes you have something smaller, or maybe in a way bigger, and you may not realize it, but our students often do community-based research and as part of class projects. And a couple examples might give you some